Hello and welcome to Beyond the Blueprint by One Broker Group, the program where we delve into the world of the innovators shaping our skylines, the designers, architects, developers, and true masters of their craft. I am Katie Jensen. Joining us today is none other than Tony Ashai, the celebrity architect known for bringing A-listers' dreams to life. He's also the mastermind behind Ashai Design and the creative driving force behind the breathtaking brand new JW Marriott Residences, Marjan Island by Wow Resorts. On this episode, Tony tells us all about the most outrageous requests he's had from his VIP clients, the cutting-edge AI tools every architect should be using today, and the extraordinary story of how he manifested his latest billion-dollar project in the UAE. This is Beyond the Blueprint. Tony, thank you so much for joining us today. What a pleasure to be able to sit down with you. Now, tell me, you have designed homes for hundreds of celebrities. You created resorts inspired by Tiger Woods, Shah Rukh Khan. You have created hotels for the Dubai World Islands, as well as a stunning new project on Marjan Island in the UAE. But tell me, what I really want to know, first of all, is what was it like rummaging through the underwear drawers of the top A-lister celebrities?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. Celebrities are no different than you and me. They're no different than common people. One of the things that when you work with celebrities, one of the things that you find out, they're just like everybody else.
Except for the budget, I imagine.
Except for the budget. They do have a larger-than-life personality and larger-than-life homes and places where they live. But deep down inside, they're emotionally very similar to everybody else. Mm-hmm. So they do get upset, they do get hurt, they have the same thing. Actually, I find that a lot of these celebrities are very lonely. And if you're a non-celebrity, you're out there in the bars or restaurants having fun, meeting friends. And celebrities don't have fun. Actually, one of 80s celebrity told me this, I asked him, I said, what is the downside of being a 80s star? He goes, the downside is that I'm alone. I said, what do you need? He goes, I could be flying to New York. I have hundreds of friends there, but I don't call them. I'm in my hotel room. I'm all alone, social media, TikToking, calling a few friends, but nobody needs me. Nobody calls me. Do you have plans? Nobody comes to
I feel too sorry for them just yet. Tell me, what are some of the most outrageous requests you've had for them? For the top A-listers where money is no object, what are some of the wildest things you've been asked to put in people's homes?
Oh, like a master closet. A master closet is a big thing for celebrities, particularly female celebrities. They want everything organized. Some of those master closets are bigger than most 3-4 bedroom apartments in Dubai. And for men, it's a man cave. It's the grotto. It's a play. It's like my zone, my area where my friends come in and have fun. And they like to get wild in the man cave. And for women, they basically all over the house, the closet is the biggest thing.
Well, tell me, you've had a few outrageous requests. You had someone who wanted their car in their bedroom, and you had another Hollywood director who apparently wanted an escape room. So talk me through the design process of that.
Well, I designed a house for a car racer. He was a car racing celebrity. And he had this car, which he loved. And he said, it was a Ferrari. And he said that his request was, when I wake up, first thing I want to see is that bar. And so I had to design his master bedroom with a glass wall. And behind the glass wall was his car on a crane. And then he would be able to take the crane down, then car would go drive out, come back and lift it back up. So it was always visible from his So the whole bedroom was designed around his car in a glass enclosure. Oh, you could see it, whether he was brushing his teeth, he could see his car. Wow. So, these people are like children, they want their toys.
Children with a very big budget.
So, yeah, and then I had another guy who was a big producer, director. He was being stalked at the time by a stalker, and was really paranoid that he might come in and harm his children and everything. So we designed a hidden corridor behind all the bedrooms where he would go at night, pick up his kids, go into a safe room, or take the lift down to the garage, drive in his car, and get out of the house while somebody was in his house. So there's weird things that, that kind of stuff. When money's not an object, you can basically do whatever you want.
So some very different requests there. I imagine for a lot of these people who are very public in real life, I imagine there's a lot of glitzy and glam parties that go on at home as well. A lot of the time, I'm sure they want a bit of privacy as well. Did you find often celebrities have, when they're designing these homes, there's very much a public space versus a private space as well? How did that affect your design process?
Yeah, when actually in any large house, when there's when you're talking about 40,000, 50,000 square feet of a house, you can only live in 4,000 or 5,000 square feet. The rest is for really entertainment. It's for public and everything. So yeah, so a lot of these big celebrity homes, they have the public area and private area. And the private area is designed for their own life, where they don't let anybody come in. And the public area is where everybody's roaming around. Usually large rooms, large spaces, not too many steps, because, you throw parties, you have a glass of wine, you trip. So there's certain rules, and the doors disappear. In LA, the weather was really nice. So indoor, outdoors is big. And so.
Okay, so worked with a lot of A-listers, worked with a lot of top business people, sports stars as well. Have you ever had to say no to a request from a client, whether it's been a private client or as a developer? Have you ever had a big problem that you haven't been able to resolve?
Yeah, I've said no a lot of times to a lot of people. And, they take it, some don't take it well. And some try to bribe you. Can I pay you more fees and things like that? I pay you more money, I want you to design my house. But, that was past in my life, so I stopped doing that. But yeah, so when I do a project, I have to have something that excites me like a project. It could be a client who's a little cuckoo. I like cuckoo people, crazy people. So crazy people can, drive you nuts. At the same time, there's a personality in them. So it could be a client, or it could be a site. It's a unique site with amazing views, and it's on top of a hill, and this and that, and so it's a little challenging. Or it could be some very creative exercise where has not been done. I want you to do this. So something has to be there. When somebody comes to you and says, I just want you to design me a house, and there's no excitement.
Yeah, that's not the fun.
Yeah, right away I know that I don't want to work with this guy, because there's no excitement, there's no fun. I had a guy one time come to me and tell me that, what's the difference? A house is a house, I don't care, but put something together. And that's when I said, no, I don't want to.
No. Have you ever lost a client? Have you ever had to hand the check back halfway?
I actually said no to Donald Trump.
Oh, tell me that story.
So Donald Trump called me. There was this golf course that he purchased. So there was a clubhouse, and there were a lot of villas around. So he called me, his office called me, said, Donald Trump would like to meet you. Back then, he was a real estate developer. He was not a president or presidential, So when I met Trump, I sat in the clubhouse with him. We had lunch together. So he explained to me what he wanted to develop. And that was completely opposite of what I envisioned for that place, the golf course. It's a golf course in LA, in Palos Verdes Peninsula. It's right on the bluff, Ocean Bluff. So he wanted to create these gaudy Palladian style.
Doesn't sound much like him.
Yeah. houses, and I said, I don't want to do it. And I sent him a regret, and I said, no, I don't want to do it because I don't feel it.
How much was he offering you?
Well, whatever. We never reached that stage. When I actually, we talked to each other for a couple of hours, and then he gave me a tour of the clubhouse and everything, and I noticed everything he was saying. That, look, I like that. Look at that fountain. That's so ugly. I mean, I told him to change it and make it gold and this and that. And whatever he was saying, I was going like, my flags were going up. It's like, I don't think I want to do a project with this guy. So I said no to him and thank you. And he got offended.
Really? What did you
Yeah.
say?
So I met him again after that, another party in Beverly Hills. So he's like, Tony Ashai, you said no to me.
You're funny.
Yeah, you remember that. Yeah.
Tell me, what's he like in person? Is what we see on camera at the podium, is that what he's like behind the scenes?
Who, Trump?
Yeah.
Trump actually is a nice guy. He's a businessman at the end of the day. When he ran for president and people were talking about how I said, he's just saying all those things. He's saying all those things so these people can vote for him. But I didn't feel any prejudice. Actually, I never felt prejudice from anybody. So I didn't feel any prejudice from Trump. I didn't feel anything different. He's just a businessman who has strict, certain ideas, who are like solid. That's the only, it's my way or highway.
Yeah.
You can't do anything else. And I just don't want to work for someone.
And I feel like you're probably at the stage in your career where you can turn away that kind of work now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Now, tell me, you, of course, stopped developing, designing celebrity homes around a decade ago in order to focus on some other interesting projects. Has there been a single standout project for you over the course of your career?
I think the most important project that I just did is this project that's behind me. It's JW Marriott Marjan. And believe me, I spent 8 months designing this thing. And because, this site was so unique and the program was beautiful, a hotel and residences and shopping and the beach and the proximity to Wynn, that everything, I just thought that this was one of those dream projects. So I had to create something that would be beautiful at the same time, not be too cheesy. A lot of times what happens is architects get carried away. It's like, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And then when somebody looks at you and you're really ugly, So I just want to make sure that when I say, look at me, look at me, look at me, it's more subliminal, look at me. It's not like love.
For the right reasons.
Yeah.
And you very much call yourself a space planner, not just an architect. And I want to ask you about this incredible project in just a minute. But first, I think before we look at the present day, I'd like to take a step back into the incredible career you've had and really where it all began. Because, of course, you were a boy back in Kashmir. You told me earlier you grew up maybe sitting on the sidelines, not playing sport, but rather sketching people playing cricket and playing those games. At 16, you left school, you went on to study architecture, but actually you were really originally discovered when you were drawing in a park in New York. So take me back through those early days.
Well, I was born in Kashmir. Kashmir is a beautiful, beautiful place, and it's a medieval town. And there's a lot of art present in Kashmir, whether it's in shawls and other things, carpets. And I think I tell people this all the time, there's got to be something called genetic memory. So I'm sure my forefathers were working on that kind of art before, and that kind of passed on to me or maybe my children, things like that. So art's something that in your genes, creativity and things like that. So from there I joined the art school in Kashmir. I used to do, after my high school, I used to go to art school for 2 hours. And I learned a lot over there. And then from there, I started sketching. I started sketching a lot. I would not take photographs. I would always sketch no matter where I go. And it just so happened that I was in New York and I was sketching a monument. And there was this guy, standing behind me, looking over my shoulder. And he was impressed. So he gave me his card. He was the Dean of School of Architecture, State University, New York. And he said, come and see me. I went next day to see him. And he's like, would you like to join our university? So I said, first of all, I'm a foreigner. I'm traveling. I don't have the visa. I don't have English language tests done. I don't have any tests. And how would I get into school? And it was August. And I said, your classes start in September. He goes, if I break all the rules for you, no visa, no test, and I get you in the school, will you come and join the school? So that's when I thought that there was something that he wanted from me. So I said, what do I have to do in return? And also I said, I don't have the money. He goes, okay, you don't pay anything.
Wow.
So then he said, well, I'm doing this research on urban design, and you could work for me, and the college will basically pay you. They'll pay for your tuitions and things like that. And that's when it started. So I took that offer, and so they gave me a piece of paper. They said, go to immigration and get your visa changed. And there's a story in that too. It's really funny. I tell this to people. So I go downtown. I go to Immigration and Naturalization Service. So there was a counter, and there was a guy out there, an officer, and I said, hi, I'm here and I want to change my visa from tourist visa to student visa. So he said, when did you come to the country? I said, I just got here last week. He goes, this is August. You must have applied for admission in January, February. I'm like, no. I said, I don't want to go to your school. The dean wants me to go to school.
For free.
So he said, do you have dean's number? I said, yeah, I just called. I said, so right in front of me, he calls the dean, and he says, can I speak with Bob Shibley? And Bob Shibley answers the phone after the secretary. And he says, hey, Bob, there's this guy, a kid here from Kashmir, and he says, you offered him admission. And he goes, yeah, he's telling you the truth. It's exactly what happened. Thank you very much. He takes the passport and changes my visa. He goes, so that's how it happened. It just, things just happen.
It's an incredible story. Are you still in touch with Mr. Shibley?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm in touch with him. He has visited my house a couple of times in LA, and we're definitely in touch. He's retired now. He must be in his 80s.
Wow. I mean, you're a big believer in manifesting and energy and the right time, and as well. In fact, I think you had your first job interview not long after studying, and I understand you essentially walked in and said, hey guys, there's no need to interview anyone else. I'm here. How did they react?
Oh, you heard that? You heard that story. So that's another story. When we graduated from architecture school, so I was with a bunch of other kids. So we all, from Buffalo to New York, it's like maybe about 5-6 hours to drive. So we all drove to New York City, and we had a little apartment. So we were staying there like 5 or 6 guys. And so we got this New York Times, and it was Sunday. And on New York Times, I was looking at it, said James Barclay and Associates is seeking a fresh graduate who is excellent in sketching. So I thought that was big, right? So I picked up that thing and got up in the morning and went to James Barclay and Associates on 47th and Madison in New York City. So I went to the thing. I walked in. There was 2 secretaries, and the girl goes, "Can I help you?" I was new. I didn't know the mannerism, and I said, "I'm the guy you're looking for." I was barely 22, 23. She goes, "What do you mean?" So I showed her the New York Times. I said, "You see this ad?" I said, "That's me." So she started laughing. She goes, "Honey, that's not how it goes. You got to give me your resume, and then we got to shortlist people." And I was naive. I said, "Well, why would you waste everybody's time and then hire me when I'm already here?" So she just picked up the phone, called, "Hey, Jim, is this kid here?" He says he's the guy you're looking for. So Jim walks out of the room and he goes, "Serious guy, gray hair and everything." He goes, You got your portfolio with you? I'm like, yeah, I do. He goes, okay, I got 5 minutes. I got to go to a meeting. Come inside. So I come inside. So I show him portfolio. He goes, you did that? You did that? You did that? I'm like, yeah. And where are you from? And then we start talking, right? Like an hour later, picks up the phone, calls, hey, Alan. Alan was his partner. Come to my office. I want you to meet somebody. So Alan comes. He said, show me your portfolio. So Alan said, you did that? I'm like, yeah. And then they said, okay, we will have to interview a couple other people. I said, fine. Yeah, so that's okay. So I packed my bag. So then the guy, Jim goes, where are you going to go now? I said, I'm going to go to the other offices and see if, they can give me a job. So as I was walking in the lift lobby, Jim opened the door again. He says, hey, come back in. He goes, you know what? You don't need to go to the other office. I said, why? He goes, we're going to hire you.
Wow.
And that was it.
So playing hard to get by, didn't
That was the only time I went seeking for a job.
Why is it only job interview you've been just once in your career? I mean,
One.
it paid off within a few years of university. Suddenly you were helping to redesign the renovation of the Chrysler Building. Tell me about that. What are some of the design choices that we would recognize as being your work there?
So basically, there was this world's largest advertising company called Saatchi & Saatchi. And Saatchi & Saatchi had leased Chrysler Building and Kent Building as their headquarters in New York. And James Barclay and Associate was the architect to do their offices on all the floors. So I was working on that project. So I was as a junior designer. So it was a very Art Deco. It's an Art Deco building. So I had to understand the language of Art Deco, the patterns and everything. So we had to then implement it in everything from floor patterns to door handles to glass doors to mosaic tiles and all this other stuff. So we basically renovated the entire Chrysler Building and Kent Building inside and made it world headquarters for Saatchi & Saatchi. And I worked on that project for about a year and a half. Wow, before my ADHD kicked in, and I said, I got to get out of here. And that's when I quit my job and I started traveling. I traveled Europe for about 6 months backpacking. I went to Rome and all places in Europe. I was just backpacking, living on a piece of bread and cheese all day.
And of course, those travels must have influenced a lot of your design process, because in, I think, 1993, you ended up founding Ashai Design, working closely with your brother as an architect. And you've gone on to create some incredible projects, from towers in Dubai to palaces, the A-lister homes I mentioned, as well as a number of incredible resorts. There was a Sharakan resort you were designing, complete with an underwater disco here in the UAE as well. Tell me, when we look at so many different projects, do the design principles for all of them remain the same?
Always the same, because the center point of all architecture design is the user or the human being who's going to use it. So everything revolves around that person. So sometimes I think architects miss this point. They think the life revolves around the architecture, but I think the architecture has to revolve around the life. So that's my basic principle. So that's why I don't have a signature. I don't believe in signature architecture. I don't believe in, because, I've said architects are like chefs. We don't have signature. Chefs don't have signature. Whatever they cook the best. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe in any architect having signature, because the site is different, the building is different, the culture is different, the people are different. So how can you have same signature as architect and continue same pattern of buildings everywhere in the world? It's just not possible. It's not right.
Well, let's talk about one of your recent projects. Of course, you're the incredible, creative driving force behind the all-new JW Marriott Residences, Marjan Island by Wow Resorts. Now, this is a huge project. It's worth close to $1.5 billion. You've got hundreds, not only of residences, but hotel keys as well. Breathtaking views over the Arabian Gulf. Tell me, what are the most exciting parts of this project? What are you proudest of? What makes it the Tony Ashai design there?
Well, first of all, it's one of those unique projects that has a hotel, residences, shopping, the beach, the restaurants, the rooftops, and it's located 5 minutes or 2 minutes walk to world's biggest casino that's being built in Ras Al-Khaimah. So, and it's built on a beautiful island, and is being built in Ras Al-Khaimah, which I think is just fabulous. It's beautiful, the weather, the blue turquoise water. So there's so many things. So it was a big challenge for me. You know, when I was designing this building, I did so many versions of it because I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted it to be right. And I think I spent about 8 months designing this thing and getting obsessed with it day and night, looking at the model, turning it around, no, move this here, move that over there. So I wanted to make sure that from every angle, this building evokes a certain emotion in people. And then I wanted to make sure the feelings of whether you're walking in the hallways or you're walking in the shopping or you're in the hotel or you're on the decks outside, I wanted to make sure they're perfectly placed. So I honestly think that this is one of those projects that I'm really proud of. And I feel like all my 40 years of experience has all been put together in this one project.
For this moment, of course, we can see a few images behind us here. Incredible design, again, world-class facilities, amenities. You've got those sweeping views, that incredible infinity pool. You've got the golf simulator, the wine room, kids club. Absolutely stunning when it all comes together. Now, construction has already broken ground, but take me back to the early days. Tell me about your first visit to Marjan Island. What was your first impression of it?
Oh, I was blown away. I mean, I went there with an open mind. I had no idea that this plot will be developed at that time. So I heard that they're starting the construction of Wynn. So I wanted to know where that is because I'm familiar with Ras Al-Khaimah. I'm familiar with Marjan Island. So I took a friend of mine and we drove down there on a weekend, and we were standing on this land and looking at Wynn, and I'm like, what's coming here on this land? And he said, I don't know. I said, well, we're going to do a project here. He goes, I said, let's go to the office and meet Abdullah Abdulli and find out. So we went to the office and we met the CEO. And so we started discussing about this plot that was overlooking Wynn. And, one thing led to another. And there you are. We've designed a hotel and residences and everything else on that project.
So you feel like you kind of manifested this project, I suppose, in some ways. I'd love to know about the conversations that went on behind closed doors. So a lot of interesting stakeholders in this project. You've got the likes of Bruce Patel from Wow Resorts, as well as Anwar as well. You've got Abdullah Al Abdulli, we mentioned earlier, for Al Marjan Island. You've also got one broker groups, Omar bin Farouk. A lot of personalities in the same room. Tell me, how did the deal take place? Was it done with a handshake? Was a contract drawn up straight away? Give me the behind the scenes gossip.
I think it's one of those things that was meant to be, and it just so it happened, and it was manifested. And it's not only me. It's funny. Bruce Patel is like me. He is a ball of energy and believes in this energy. So I'm a strong believer in energy. When this site was brought to my attention, when I spoke with Abdullah Abdulli, and I told Abdullah said that we will only work on this site with somebody who is a hotelier and somebody who is a big name. So I picked up the phone and called my friends from US, Anwar Aman and Bruce Patel. They flew in. Bruce flew in first, and he just fell in love. He just looked at the site and he goes, oh, we're going to build a hotel here. And he picked up the phone, called Anwar. He goes, I'm doing this, whether you're with me or not, or without me. So Anwar said, okay, I'm with you. And then one thing led to another.
I mean, I think it's also interesting. AI is really being integrated in so many projects and building days around the world when it comes to architecture. Did you use any AI design tools in this project? Is that something that you're doing a lot of in the company today?
Not really, not yet, but I think it's coming. We used not AI, TA intelligence on this Tony Ashai intelligence. So AI, I think, is coming down the road, and it's going to come big time. It's going to have a huge impact on our profession, just like anybody else, any other profession. So, creativity-wise, I don't know how good they will be, but definitely documentation, drawing, specification, tender documents, all this engineering, structural engineering, mechanical engineering, it's all math and documentation. I think AI will do a better job than anybody else. But creativity side, I think it'll take it some time. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, unless it's something new, I don't know if they would ever beat somebody's mind in creativity.
Because there's research from the UK, I think around 41% of architects in the UK are using AI in some form when designing today, but 36% of architects are concerned it poses a threat to the future. Do you think there is a time where, AI is going to replace, people like you, so that moving from a profession is going to turn into a weekend hobby? Is that something you're concerned about?
No, I'm not concerned. I'm 60 years old. I'm not going to be concerned. I think my kids should be concerned about it. My times, I don't, I've done enough, and I think AI will definitely disrupt a lot of professions, and architecture is one of them. You will see offices getting smaller and smaller. It'll be the place. There will be these AI software modules that will be integrated in the softwares that we're using right now for model making and drawings and things like that.
Where do you see the other big design trends? What is here to stay? I really think the pandemic has changed a lot about how we think about how we use spaces, as well as how we use it as a community, as well as in the workplace as well. What are the other big trends you think? How do we separate fad from fiction?
Well, I think mixed-use development projects. People will be living in communal living. It'll be more like communal living for two reasons. One, everybody's working from home. So you don't want an apartment which has just apartments stacked on top of each other with a lobby. I think people are looking for lifestyle. These lifestyle projects mean I should be able to get out of my apartment, go down to a coffee shop, have a cup of coffee, work on my laptop there, stroll, take my dog for a walk, we'll come back up. And then I think the biggest trend that's going to be in future will be social clubs. These are just my predictions, and I'm basing them on the trends. Social clubs will be big, membership social clubs, because when you are alone, most young people, they don't want to get married. They're living alone, studio apartment, and you want to go somewhere where you can socialize. And where do you go to socialize? I mean, back in the old days in Rome and Venice, there used to be piazzas and public squares. All these Italians would dress up really nice at 6 p.m., wear their tie and smoke a cigar and walk in the piazza and meet new people. What do you do now? You have to go somewhere. And, discos and bars is so passé. So I think social clubs will be the next big thing. You will see a lot of them popping up all over bigger cities and things like that.
Okay. How do you relax? How do you switch off at the end of the day? Because your day starts at 4 a.m. each day, doesn't it?
That's right.
Do you ever have any off time?
No.
Do you think it that way?
I love it, because what I do is my pleasure. It's not work. So I don't see it as work. So I see it as pleasure. So like I give you an example, but I use iPad and I'm sitting on these dining tables and hotel tables and drawing, and my neck has like some problem and I get pain in my neck. So normally a person would stop. I continue working and the pain goes away. And it's funny because I enjoy what I'm doing. My mind is connected to what I'm doing. So any bodily pain just goes in the background, so it doesn't really matter. So I really enjoy doing it.
Tony, what a pleasure to chat with you today. I've got a few final quick fire questions. I'm going to ask for these in 30 seconds or less, just to finish our little chat today. First question, describe your design style in 3 words.
Oh, I think I said it before, soulful, pure, and functional. Yeah.
What's the best career advice you've ever been given?
Don't ever look for a job.
That one job interview has clearly set you up very well. Third question, what building would you have loved to design across any era?
Oh, a house for a poor man in some third world country. Yeah, because that's a challenge. Because I've already done all the other ones.
You've done all the good stuff. You've done all the man caves and the grottos. What is one terrible design trend you hope never comes back?
Formal living rooms. Waste of time, waste of space.
Who do you look up to, architects or otherwise?
Oh, I look at people who are smart, who are intelligent, who are on top of their game. It could be anybody in any game.
Give me an example, though. Was it your father? Was it a sports star? Was it a particular artist?
There were lots of people in my life that I have looked up to. You know, like I can't really point finger to one, but I can tell you that if you're intelligent and you're smart and you're on top of your game, like I'll give you an example, like Shah Rukh Khan. Okay, he's an actor, right? He's on top of his game, very smart guy, and I look up to him. I respect that guy. I respect anybody who is on top of their game because I know they're the best. I know the sacrifices that they're giving.
Oh, 100%. I think hard work over talent any day.
Any day.
Tell me, will AI improve or destroy architecture?
Remains to be seen.
Okay, watch this space. The TA is definitely doing very well, though. What is the most absurd criticism you've ever been given?
I don't know. I mean, I just, you're too expensive. I don't know. Design-wise, I don't remember any. So
you know what they say: if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So you pay for what you get.
Yeah.
If you weren't an architect, what career would you have chosen?
Film director.
Interesting. I like that one. Any type of films, documentaries, big romance, Bollywood?
No, any story, but directing, putting it together in a cinematography, and making it really interesting, evoking emotions through film. I would have done that. Same thing what I do in architecture.
Yeah, telling a story, but in a different way.
Yeah.
US elections, who are you voting for and who's going to win?
Well, it's supposed to be secret. I'm not supposed to.
Safe space. Who do you think is going to win?
I think Kamala Harris has a good chance, and I think it will be good to see her as president for two reasons. One, I would say in my lifetime, we have a brown woman president. So that's a big thing. And the second thing is that she is someone who comes from public service all the way since the time she started working as a district attorney. And I think she understands the system, and I think she will be good. And she's California.
There you go. Watch this space in November. Final question. What do you want your legacy to be?
I don't believe in legacies. I think somebody said, do you know who your grandfather's father was? Nobody knows. It's just a matter of another 100 years. All the legacies will be wiped out. So I don't believe in legacies. I want no legacy.
What do you want people to think of when they think of you? What do you want to be known of in terms of creating these incredible buildings, turning these houses into homes? What do you want your grandchildren to think about when they think of you?
Same thing what they think now, that he's a little crazy, but he's a good man.
He's a good storyteller, a lot of fun as well.
Yeah.
Tony, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. I'm very excited to see this incredible, stunning new project come to life in 2026 as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Beyond the Blueprint by One Broker Group. I'm Katie Jensen. Make sure you follow us on social media. All the details are on the screen. And until next time, we'll see you when we speak to the innovators shaping our skylines. Goodbye.